Chapter 6. The Future. I looked over at Bo. He was scratching his chin. Thinking hard. We need a plan, he said. Duh. I smacked myself on the forehead. I thought we had one, Jacob replied. We were going to take President Lincoln back to the White House so he can issue the Emancipation Proclamation. Forget it. Zach rolled his eyes to the ceiling. We tried our best. President Lincoln doesn't want to go back to the executive mansion. He doesn't want to issue the Emancipation Proclamation. If he wants to quit, maybe we should just let him. We can't let him quit. I punched Zach in the arm. Zach rubbed his arm. If Mr. C couldn't convince him, how can we? He grabbed a small gold-colored bowl off a nearby table. We'd have a better chance hitting him over the head, knocking him out, and dragging him to the White House. He's too big for us to carry. Jacob took the bowl from Zach and put it back on the table. So we are going to have to try harder to convince him. We hadn't left the telegraph office. But Abraham Lincoln didn't seem to notice. In fact, we were standing right next to him. But he wasn't looking at us. He was still sitting on the floor with his head resting on his knees. I already told him the North would win the war, I said. He didn't listen. He didn't believe you, Bo confirmed. All he knows is that the North is losing. I'll go tell him we are from the future. Maybe that will work, Jacob suggested. Jacob took the computer out of his pocket and went over to the president. President Lincoln, he began. We aren't your messengers. We're from the future. Jacob showed him the computer. We came to tell you that you must issue the Emancipation Proclamation today. You can't quit. President Lincoln stood up once again. He towered over Jacob. So you come from the future? Jacob nodded. Well, I told you I love jokes. This is a really good one, President Lincoln said. He tried to laugh, but squeaked instead. He sighed. I feel too sad to laugh. Lincoln pointed at the exit. Deliver my letter. Jacob sighed and stepped back. This is going to be harder than I thought, he groaned. Now it was Bo's turn. I could tell Bo loved being around all these famous Americans. But I could also tell he didn't really want to talk to them. It took all his courage. Bo took a big step forward and looked up at President Lincoln. Are you still here? Abraham Lincoln asked. You are the worst messengers I have ever met. What will it take to get you to leave? President Lincoln reached into his pocket. He took out a few coins and handed them to Bo. You have been paid. Now go. I thought Bo might turn and run away. But he took a deep breath and said, 5 days ago, the Northern Army won a battle at Antietam. It wasn't a great victory. But it was good enough. Bo tapped his foot nervously and said softly, Now will you issue the Emancipation Proclamation? We didn't win at Antietam, President Lincoln told Bo. In fact, Antietam is turning out to be the biggest disaster of them all. So far, more troops have been lost at Antietam than in any other battle of the Civil War. President Lincoln went to his desk. He opened the drawer and took out a stack of telegrams. He showed Bo the telegrams. We lost at Thoroughfare Gap. We lost at Richmond and Harper's Ferry. We almost won at Chantilly. But no one really won that one. Then he picked up the telegram he had thrown on the floor when we first met him. He read it quickly and said, And we are losing at Antietam. No, Bo challenged. The North wins. After that, General McClellan messes up. He doesn't chase after the Southern troops. He just lets them leave. It's a mistake. But all the history books say the same thing. Bo put his hands on his hips and rose up on his tiptoes. He looked up at Abraham Lincoln and said, I know it for a fact. The North wins at Antietam. It was so unlike Bo. I nearly laughed. I couldn't believe my eyes. Bo was telling President Lincoln he was wrong. President Lincoln handed Bo the telegram about Antietam. We are losing the war. Bo scanned the telegram. Then he handed it back to President Lincoln. Without another word, Bo slowly turned and walked away. He came to where we were waiting. I tried, Bo muttered. The old Bo was back. He was speaking so softly. I could barely hear him. I don't get it. I know for sure that on September 17th, the North won at Antietam. Why doesn't he know about the victory? I don't know, I sighed. We were running out of ideas. And out of time. Then I realized there was one last thing we hadn't tried. Anybody have a penny? I asked. Only the best presidents get their pictures on money. And he was one of the best. Maybe a penny would convince him not to quit. We all emptied our pockets. Bo had the coins Abraham Lincoln had given him. Zach had a paperclip and a gum wrapper. I had some lint. And Jacob pulled out the computer. No one had pennies. Suddenly Zach started punching the air. Abigail just gave me a great idea. He was so excited he could barely speak. Give me the computer. No way, Jacob argued. You're going to send us home. No, I'm not. They locked eyes. Zach blinked first. Fine, he groaned. I'll just tell you my idea instead. The twins put their heads together. Zach whispered. Jacob nodded. Suddenly Jacob jumped and shouted. Awesome idea. You shouldn't have quit computer club. Jacob fiddled with the buttons on the front of the computer. The machine beeped loudly. What are you guys doing? Bo asked. Abraham Lincoln wants us to leave. So we're going to leave, Jacob answered. He pushed a few more buttons. The computer beeped again. Only we are taking him with us, Zach added. Jacob explained. Putting the cartridge in the computer brought us here. Taking it out will send us back. Mr. C said that if we press these special red buttons, we can change our landing place. So instead of going to school, we're going to Washington, D.C. Our Washington, D.C. Zach gave his brother a high five. Jacob pulled the cartridge out of the back of the handheld computer. A big, deep glowing green hole appeared in the dark corner of the telegraph office. What the dickens is going on? President Lincoln stomped over to the corner. He stepped to the edge of the hole to get a better look. Zach leapt up and grabbed the president around the waist. The two of them tumbled into the swirling mist together. Jacob jumped in after them. Do you think we have a chance? I asked Bo. Can we convince him to issue the Emancipation Proclamation? I hope so. At least now we have a plan. Bo took my hand in his. Hang on tight. On the count of 3 we jumped. And on the count of 4 we landed. Because time travel is really fast.